By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to manage, how to handle dependencies in an Agile and Scrum team. First off, dependencies are things that need to happen for the team to produce a working increment. A working increment of a software, but that they cannot do themselves. They need someone else outside the team in order to complete this working increment. Dependencies, if not handled correctly, lead to impediments, blockers in task execution. As per the Scrum Guide 2020, the latest version, Scrum teams should be cross-functional, meaning that they should have all the skills, all the knowledge required in order to produce this working increment at the end of a sprint. They should also be self-managed, meaning that they decide what to build, how to build it, who builds it, and by when to build it. But that's easier said than done. 99% of Scrum teams are not fully cross-functional, and as a result, they experience dependencies. And it's proven that the more dependencies you have, the less your chance of delivering this working increment at the end of a sprint, or at the end of a quarter, or at the end of a year. And that's the problem, because you always want to minimize cycle time, the amount of time it takes to produce features in an actual sprint. The goal is to produce tons of features every single sprint, keeping the value and quality high. And you can't do that if you have tons of dependencies, because dependencies slow you down. And as a result, cycle time increases. It takes more time to produce things. The organization is less agile because you can't react to changes in the market. Here are some common dependencies, pain points I come across when working with organizations. First, organizational structure. My team only does development. We don't do testing. Another team does the testing. So once we have completed development, we need to send it to another team. That's a dependency. Second, non-agile teams. We need an interface, an API developed by another team, but this other team doesn't use Scrum. They use the waterfall model, so they don't work in sprints. The third pain point, and what I believe is the core issue, teams are simply not cross-functional. Some people lack skills, knowledge, maybe tools, maybe accesses, database access, all these things that are required to produce a working increment at the end of a sprint. 99% of teams are missing a few things, and as a result, they are dependent on other teams. Now, let's talk about 7 strategies to mitigate dependencies in the short term, starting with strategies to mitigate dependencies within the team. And the first is automation. Automate everything. All the repeated tasks that you do within the team. Automate it. This removes a lot of dependencies on especially manual work. You need to remove manual work, repeated work completely from your team. That's a lot of wasted time. I know that it takes a lot of time to write these automation scripts. Maybe you can outsource that to another team. But when you write these automation scripts, you're producing less features to the customer. So you need to negotiate with the stakeholders, the product owner, so that we go slower maybe in the short term so that we can go faster in the long term, especially with regards to automation testing. And I see a lot of people, a lot of teams ignoring automation testing because they want to produce more features, they want to meet target dates. But that's good in the short term. In the long run, just imagine the amount of manual testing that you'll need to do. That's huge. So please prioritize automation. And if automation can't really be done for specific things, standardize the process. Make the process happen the same way each and every single time to reduce the need of planning and coordination. Now, let's talk about 5 strategies that you can use to mitigate external dependencies, starting with the first one, ad hoc meetings, ad hoc sessions, conversations. It's hard to communicate with another team simply because we don't see each other every single day. We don't work with each other every single day. So there will be a lot of uncertainties, a lot of things missing in terms of requirements, planning, delivery dates. So please, each time that you feel that something is not right, something is missing, please set up a quick call with the other team. 5 minutes, 15 minutes, or simply add them in a chat and just confirm the requirements, confirm the delivery date, confirm anything that you feel is not right. Don't underestimate this part. Communication between other teams, That's one of the main reasons why it doesn't work using why the dependencies doesn't work, because communication is so hard to do with other teams. Second, refine your definition of ready and ensure that it's being used correctly. But only stories that are allowed to enter a sprint are ready stories. And ready stories in your definition of ready is highly recommended, but you put a requirement that the story should be ready, meaning that if a story is dependent on something else, especially another team, this development should be completed. We can go in a sprint assuming that another team will complete the development in this sprint and then we can start working on something. What if the other team is late? No. Try to do this other team's development 1 sprint prior or 2 sprints prior, so that when you start your sprint, your story is fully ready. All the dependencies, the development is done, and you can just start without depending on another team in the sprint. If you still feel that these dependencies are causing impediments, blockers, slowing down the team, you can micromanage this communication and maybe even the other team. You can send someone from your team, maybe the product owner, a developer, anyone in your team, send them to the other team's backlog refinement, backlog grooming, sprint planning, ensure that the planning is done, ensure that the backlog refinement is done correctly, all the requirements are clear prior to them starting the development. The sprint planning, ensure that we are planning the thing in the sprint so that we can deliver you in time to your team so that you meet the definition of ready for your team. But that's all required for planning and grooming. But what about the day-to-day? You can even send someone in their daily stand-up. With a daily stand-up to ensure that we are actually working on this thing. I don't like this approach because it's micromanaging. We are assuming here that these other teams, they can't work. They are babies, they are kids. We need to tell them what to do. But if other things don't work and this other team is not working in an agile way or you're not using Scrum, they're on a self-managed, maybe we need to send someone from our team to ensure that they are doing the work correctly. But if they are using Agile, if they are using Scrum, it shouldn't be the case. A Scrum of Scrums meeting is also good if you have a lot of different teams working on the same product or related product. 15 minutes each sprint, Scrum of Scrums meeting where we talk about all these dependencies. And if there's a lot of dependencies, it really helps sync work and ensure that all the impediments or blockers or things slowing down each and every single team are handled in time. And we can even help each other because we are at the end of the day working on the same product. Another good strategy is pairing between people of different teams. Maybe we need to work on an interface. Both team 1 and team 2 need to do development to build and finalize and complete this interface. Why not take someone from team 1 and someone from team 2, make them work together, sit together on the same table for multiple days until the interface is complete. Do you have a dependency here? Not really. They are working together every single day for multiple days until the interface is complete, instead of working in silos in their different teams. That causes problems in terms of communication. So make them work together if possible. And the last strategy that I like using is removing the dependency from the scope of the sprint and blocking myself by faking it using dummy data. Test data. Instead of connecting to that interface being developed by the other team, why not use fake data, dummy data, internally in the application within our team? We have not completed the development yet? Who cares? I'm using dummy data. I'm completing my development using this dummy data, test data, and then afterwards, once we complete it, we can connect to the real thing. That works really well if you have tons of issues, impediments, blockers with these dependencies. Ignore them, remove them from the scope, and once they are ready, you can start integrating with these dependencies. Which brings me to my next point. If you want more tips, insights on Agile, Scrum, personal growth, click on the video that stands out the most on the screen right now, and I'll see you in a few seconds.